Welcome to the wonderful world of It's a Wild Life with Andrew Mallory. The mighty Columbia. Route of passage for Lewis and Clark. Its flow provides unequaled natural resources for those who live near her. But all is not well with the Columbia. The controversy of salmon versus power continues to plague the region. Now the stakes are higher than ever with the current drought and power crisis. Everyone is asking the same question. Will we lose the salmon forever? I'm out here this morning on the mighty Columbia River, but this is a very special day because downstairs on this boat are two really important people. Steve Wright, who's the CEO of the BPA, Bonneville Power Administration, and also we have with us the head of the tribal authorities, Don Sampson, and they're going to talk to us on the river where they can't escape about the salmon and the power issue. I met first with Don Sampson, head of the Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission. Don, could you explain in layman's terms what you as the head of the tribal authorities, what is your point of view with this salmon power issue?
Well, for thousands and thousands of years, salmon and the tribes have relied on this river to provide our sustenance, to provide our culture and our religious beliefs. And we think that it is important that today we recognize that those are very valid uses of this resource. And we think that it's important that we balance that with today's contemporary needs. We need to reduce our reliance on the Columbia River for our electrical needs, make room for fish in this river as there has been for thousands and thousands of years.
In the 1850s, the American Indian tribes of the Northwest signed a peace treaty with the United States government. The treaty granted fishing rights on the Columbia to these tribes. The treaty stated that the tribes have rights to 50% of all returning salmon. When the dams were built last century, the salmon runs began to decrease dramatically. To save the salmon populations, many tribes stopped their fishing businesses. Now, in this time of crisis, they're asking the BPA to take major steps to save the salmon.
We're afraid that millions of salmon will die unless we provide some level of spill and flow for salmon over the dams at all 8 of the dams this year.
This request comes at a time when the Columbia Basin is at half of its normal water level and a power crisis looms in our region. Yet, the United States has an obligation to protect the salmon, not just to honor the tribal agreements, but to protect the investment of billions of dollars in salmon restoration. In addition, protecting the salmon has long-term benefits.
It would indeed be a bad legacy that we left behind if our children ask us what happened to the salmon, just as the buffalo or the eagle.
Then I had a chat with Steve Wright, head of the BPA. Steve, it seems to me that you're in a pretty difficult situation because you're getting attacked from all sides here. But from a BPA standpoint, where are you coming from with this power versus the salmon issue?
Well, so first of all, understand that I don't look at this as a BPA standpoint. So Bonneville is a federal agency. It's a very unique creature. It's here to serve just the people of the Pacific Northwest. What we're seeking to do is balance what I consider sort of impact on fish versus impact on people issues.
Regulating this balance has brought the BPA under considerable criticism over the last few months. Although spilling water over the dams would be beneficial for the young fish, it could be detrimental to the region. In practical terms, it could mean less power and possible blackouts. For the BPA, it could mean reneging on the yearly debt payment it makes to the federal government. It has to be said, though, that the BPA seems to be doing everything they can to help the young salmon.
We've taken some very dramatic actions. We've taken nearly 2,000 megawatts off the system this year in 2 nuclear plants where we've gone out and bought out industry.
In addition, they've spent $30 million to purchase water rights from farmers who irrigate with Columbia River water. As a result, more water will flow downriver. Finally, the BPA is negotiating with the National Treasury on its yearly $750 million debt payment. If this payment is restructured, then more water could spill for the salmon.
We get credits from the federal government when we make investments for fish. And because the costs are going to be so high this year, we're looking at getting credits that may well be equal to the total payment that we make to the Treasury.
It's apparent BPA is doing everything it can to provide reliable, low-cost power and get the Northwest through this current crisis.
The challenge is here is trying to maintain reliability, do so in a way that creates the least size rate increase, and to try to make sure that we do the right thing by the fish.